Thanks, Sheila. There will be no videos or technical glitches in my speech because I only have these wee cards that keep me going. So, good evening, folks. Can I apologise if anybody was here last year because the story is still the same. It's quite a candid story. It's not changed. I'm just a year older, but it's kind of worth telling nonetheless. My name's Kevin McGhee. I'm 46. I live in Edinburgh and I'm a serving police officer based at Fetties in Edinburgh. The reason I'm standing here talking to you tonight is twofold really. One is positive mental training. Alistair Sheila's programme is one of the reasons why I'm still alive. And two, I'm going to try and explain how the visualisation techniques in that programme helped me recover from depression, and also the same techniques helped me achieve a small sporting success, not on the level of Scott or Jenny, but it was quite good for me. So to give you some context, on the 12th of August 2014, I was sat on the edge of the crags at Arthur's Seat and I was going to kill myself. I was severely depressed, although I didn't fully understand that at the time. I had broken down mentally and physically and I couldn't see any way out. I was deemed what's known in the police world as a high-risk missing person. That meant a full-scale search operation by colleagues, some of whom I had worked with, and ended up with a helicopter scrambled, which was hovering 200 yards away from me on the crags at eye level. It was a completely surreal day. Fortunately, I obviously didn't do it, and I still don't know to this day why. Fear, luck, I don't know, but it was a life-changing event. It completely changed my outlook on life and made me think about what had happened, what was wrong, and how do I get better. See, I never considered myself depressed. I had low points. I didn't know how depressed I was. I had ignored what I now call toxic thinking or rumination, which is constantly looking back and trying to puzzle out what was wrong and why I felt so low and all this stuff. And the thing I've learned, because I've learned a lot in the last 5 years, is with rumination, you will never come to a conclusion. You will just go round and round, spiralling deeper and deeper into a depressive state, and there's no, obviously, liberation in that at all. And if I wasn't looking in the past, I was obsessing about the future. That's called worry. So I was in this constant state of puzzling out what was wrong and worrying about things that hadn't happened yet. And like a lot of folk, if you think about it, I wasn't present in my own life. And you hear that a lot in sports commentary, you know, he just has to stay in the present moment. Like it's easy. Well, it's not. It's just about the hardest work in the world for human beings to do is to be present in their own life. And you also hear things, you know, come on, just think positive. Or, come on, Kev, positive mental attitude. Well, for me, that's just more thinking. And beating thinking with more thinking is very challenging. The point is, you can't just think positive, or in my case, I couldn't just think positive. You've got to train your mind for positive thinking to be effective. So if I get back to the story, sorry, I get taken off the crags, and I'm a bit of a mess. It was a wee bit more than a bad hair day. But looking back, I was a kind of blank canvas as to how my life was going to go forward and how how I could get better. I get taken up to the Royal Ed and I spend some time up there, and I meet a couple of doctors, David Flucker and Derek Myers, and cut a long story short, I get introduced to Alistair and Sheila's programme, Positive Mental Training. So I start the programme and the results were almost immediate. I really did put my heart and soul into it because A, I didn't want to end up back on the crags and maybe a different outcome, and B, I was determined to get better and to turn my life around. So as I worked through the programme, I began to see a transformation in me. I was much more relaxed and had an improved sense of well-being. I started to use, through visualisation techniques, positive emotions to help with difficulties in my present life. It's quite difficult to explain that, but I was very disciplined and I practiced every day, twice a day. Life was gaining momentum. I started getting into mindfulness, meditation and yoga, and everything was kind of interconnected. So life was going along good. But don't get me wrong, I had setbacks, relapses, quite serious ones. But I stuck at it and I got through it. And I was starting to visualise in lots of different ways and lots of different tools and techniques. And as well as the programme, one of the things I would do is I have a wee dog called Bobby. In fact, I've now got 3 dogs, but that's a different story. And Bobby, this sounds bonkers, very, very clear, strong image of this wee dog above and to the right. And when worry came, or whatever situation I faced, which would normally spiral me down, I ran that by Bobby. And that gave me the time, that sounds bonkers, but that gave me the time to see my thoughts without having to operate on them or react to them or constantly judge myself. And as I got through the programme, I also began, as well as recovering from depression, I had an achievement in my sporting hobby with a kind of remarkable result. I'm a very keen golfer. I'm by no means brilliant, but I'm okay. And 6 weeks in, I won my golf club championship, which was completely unheard of for my handicap. And I directly attribute that to the programme. I was visualising myself winning, and I'm not talking about hitting good shots and holding putts. I was starting to visualise prize-giving speech, what I would wear, faces of my friends in the crowd, how happy they were. I was taking it to that sort of level. I guess I think, I didn't know again, I think I was playing subconsciously that week. As I progressed through the rounds and knocked out opponents, I would walk off the course and sometimes I couldn't remember some of the holes. But it was working and I won. Was it luck? Was it coincidence? I don't know. I'm a police officer. I don't often believe in coincidences. So, having immersed myself in this process, I was kind of scared to give it up. I completed the programme in the 12 weeks. I did it again. I then started to chop and change the tracks to kind of tailor-made a programme for me, depending on my mood that day. And work got better, relationships got better. I had such a strong sense of well-being, and that's where I am today. I constantly work hard at that. The future, well, I've done some of these talks, which is good. I said this last year, I started to write a book. I'm still writing a book. I don't know if I'll ever finish a book. And we're still, I'm speaking to a TV guy down in London about doing a programme for Horizon, which is quite interesting. All these little things are kind of, I'm quite interested in stuff like that, so let's see what happens with that. Clearly I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't know what happened to me, but I know how I got myself out of it. I'd suffered from depression for many years without telling a single soul. I was dead on the inside, and I was not that far away from being dead on the outside as well. I still use the programme every day to give you some sort of idea of how powerful it is, certainly for me. In the last year, my brother died, and then 9 weeks later my sister died, and 2 weeks ago my father died. So these are tough events, and I've been able to deal with that through the mental resilience of what I've gathered over the years, and the tools and the techniques I've used. So the programme really works. That is my message. And if it can help one person in here with your sporting life, academic life, personal life, then it's been worth it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kevin. That's great to hear. Thank you for sharing that.